I'll give you an example of something that doesn't have to do with symmetry. It has to do with how nuanced the language of the Qur'an is and how sometimes in translation stuff's missing. Okay? You guys know the story of Moses. You know this was coming. This had to be coming. So Moses he had a little bit of an extreme sports adventure early on in his childhood. What am I referring to? Huh? The basket. Those in the basket. Now this mother who's got to put her child in a flowing river inside a basket that has previously been tested for extreme rafting? No. No. And the poor woman has no choice. And she's got to take this baby and she's got to put this child inside the basket and let it float away. And as it sails away, a time comes when she can't see it anymore. She can't see it anymore. And at that point her heart sinks. And the Qur'an says, وَأَصْبَحَ فُؤَادُ أُمِّ مُوسَى فَارِغًا إِنْ كَادَتْ لَتُبْدِي بِهِ لَوْلَا أَنْ رَبَطْنَا عَلَى قَلْبِهَا لِتَكُونَ مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. The verse says, Moses' mother's heart was emptied out. It's like she became emotionally paralyzed. She was emptied out. You know what that means? When you go do something so shocking, you hear something so shocking, it hurts you so much that people do this and you don't blink. That's the expression farigan. You lost it. You don't eat, you don't talk back, you're just quiet, you're a vegetable. You're in shock. You're just in a complete state of shock. That's the expression. Then he says, إِن كَادَتْ لَتُبْدِي بِهِ. She almost gave up her secret. In other words, she almost ran out of her house, her hut, running to the water and saying, my baby, my baby. But the problem with doing that is if she did that, who would find out? The soldiers would. That motherly instinct of wanting to run after her child, she had to crush within her. And that itself, first of all, the child's going, second, she can't even cry about it. She can't even scream about it. She has to fight her most natural motherly instinct. He says her heart was empty, voided out. She almost gave up her secret. لَوْلَا أَنْ رَبَطْنَا عَلَى قَلْبِهَا. Then he says, had we, meaning God, not tied her heart together, had we not kept it together. In other words, she would have run out doing what she was going to do as a mother, had we not kept her together emotionally. لِتَكُونَ مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. So she could be from those who truly believe. Now, the reason I mentioned this particular beautiful, beautiful ayah is because her heart is talked about twice. Moses' mother's heart is talked about twice. Once when it got emptied out. Once when God held it together. Right? You guys following along? Once it was emptied out, once it was held together. The thing of it is, there is only one word in English for heart. Heart. The Arabic language has a number of words for heart. And the first time her heart was mentioned, a different Arabic word was used in the Qur'an. And the second time her heart was mentioned, another word for heart was used in the Qur'an. The first time the word fu'ad was used. The word fu'ad is used in Arabic. The origin of that word is fa'ada, to roast. Fu'ad, a piece of flesh engulfed in flames, is called fu'ad. God describes her heart as one on fire. In Arabic, when a heart is overwhelmed emotionally by anger, fear, sadness, rage, you name it. If your heart is overwhelmed with something, it's no longer called just a heart, it's called a piece of flesh on fire. That's what it's called. When your heart is calm, however, it's just called the thing that beats. Qalb. Qalb literally comes from alteration or change, because the heart is constantly changing its position. It's beating. The first half of the verse uses the word fu'ad. The second half of the verse uses the word qalb. In other words, now in English, the first half of the verse uses the word heart on inflamed, engulfed, overwhelmed, overpowered. What was happening in the first half? Baby was flowing down the river and she was holding herself back. In the second half of the verse, God puts the fire out, calms her down so she can keep her cool. Now's the time to use what word? Qalb, the regular heart. The easy beating heart. This is the kind of stuff, her entire emotional journey is captured inside two words for the heart. Her psychological state is being described by these two words. That is not seen in translation. It's gone. It's gone. You don't see it. There's no way. Incredible stuff, at least to me. Yes, I don't have to know. 25 minutes more call? Okay. So, last thing about Qur'an and translation. My personal project, as was mentioned previously, was when I started studying some of this stuff, I was like, man, people need to know. Not to proselytize people. I'm not interested in converting people to Islam. No, I just feel like this is a monumental work of, a contribution to human, the human library. We believe it to be the Word of God. That's what I believe it to be. That's what Muslims believe it to be. I feel like Muslims don't even know what this book is talking about. So many of us don't even know what it has to offer. So I wanted there to be kind of a literary education about this book. So when people talk about it, at least they talk about it in an educated way. Muslims are not. They should at least know what it's talking about, and not lose out stuff from the filter of translation. And that's why I did the series that I did a video series on the Qur'an, just the entire Qur'an, walk through the whole thing. And just walk through the whole thing. And especially I try to highlight the parts that are particularly controversial. Like, here's a fun quote from the Qur'an, kill them wherever you find them. It's from the Qur'an. I can tell you. You don't have to watch the news to hear that quote. I'll tell you myself. It says, kill them wherever you find them. And I love talking about it too. Oh, I love it. You know why? Because I believe if it's properly explained, without washing the meaning down, without watering it down, genuinely talking about the text in its original historical context, I have no shame in talking about it, and I'm actually proud of it, and I think any civilized human being would be too. That's what I think. It's just not talked about it that way. Is it possible that a text can be manipulated? Yes. Tell me about it. Tell me about it. I'm sitting on the plane sometimes, person sitting next to me, I'm reading the Qur'an in Arabic. They're like, what you reading there? It's like, Qur'an. And that makes for some fun conversation, Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's awkward silence after that, like, can I check my seat? Awkward. Or sometimes it makes for some fun conversation. Doesn't that book say to kill everybody? It's like, well, you're alive. What is it actually? What is it talking about? You know what? If it's maybe some other sessions, I might explain that stuff to you guys. Let's take all the verses that are quoted all the time, that are used as a basis to say these Muslims. Oh, you watch out for these Muslims. Look at what their book says. You know what? I don't like to play that game, because if you want to play that game with any book, you can. With any book, with any religious tradition, it's easy to play that game. But to actually go and talk to someone and say, I've heard this is what it says. What's it actually talking about? How have you guys understood this for 1,400 years and not had a problem? And how come nowadays there's this chaos? That's a discussion to be had. That's something we need to understand. I honestly, in my final comments, I just want to say, this book deserves to be understood for what it really is, for what it really has to say. And I hope I can make some contribution towards that. And I hope that you guys, the ones, especially those of you that are visiting us today, I welcome you to stay in touch with me, with the people here, the wonderful people here that have put this program together. I actually am not an official part of the mosque. I'm just a community member. My school's across the street. I teach Arabic across the street. Okay, what used to be the old Nokia building. I have an Arabic school right there. Right? But I come help out whenever I can. But you're welcome to try and stay in touch with me. I'm going to leave my email address on the board. So you guys can shoot me an email. We can talk. If I get time, I don't get a lot of time because I do a lot of traveling and a lot of teaching. But if I do get time, we can get together, sit down, have a chat. I don't mind. I don't mind doing that. Because I honestly believe that if people knew that we knew, like Muslims knew non-Muslims and non-Muslims knew Muslims, we could become an example of communities that not only live with each other and tolerate each other, but actually communities that can cooperate with each other and show mutual respect to each other. Tolerance is not enough. Tolerance is not an accomplishment. I don't think tolerance is an accomplishment. I think respect is an accomplishment. And respect doesn't come if you don't know people. It doesn't. It takes work. And it will take work from Muslims and it will take work from non-Muslims. Those that are interested anyway. So I commend you for making the effort to come. And I commend you for trying to inquire more about this faith and the people that carry this faith. I hope I was able to be of some benefit, in your own inquiry, in your own journey. I'd like to open the floor up for 15 minutes of questions and answers now, and then we'll call it a day because the prayer service is going to start.